God, this sucks. What a day for it to rain. Labor Day weekend and it's gotta rain. Today, tomorrow, the rest of the week. Yesterday was nice, but whatever. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. All right, so you guys just saw it's a crappy day outside, raining, and kind of sucks. But we are gonna be working on a car today, and it's not gonna be the Pathfinder, or the V Sport, or the Trailblazer. It's actually gonna be an ATS V, and what we're gonna be doing on this car today is gonna be installing some blow-off valves. Now, not my ATS V, I wish it was, but it's pretty much the same engine as the CTS V Sport, but a little bit different in its own ways, and of course the car is smaller, a little bit lighter. But what we're gonna be doing is installing those blow-off valves. Now, this is somebody I met online, just bought the car, he lives in my area, and he was on Facebook. He joined our Facebook group, actually a Facebook group that I made specifically for the Chicagoland V community. And that group is actually called the Chicagoland Cadillac V Series Owners Group. Yes, it's kind of long. And in parentheses, of course, Black Wings are also welcome if you're in Chicagoland area. I might change that to a Midwest thing, or central, I should say central localized area, because what I'm trying to do is get something started for the V Club. Now, I'm gonna talk later on in another video about the V Club, but the V Club is basically a chapter, or I should say not a chapter, but a group of people that own Vs. Doesn't matter if it's a CTS V, ATS V, CTS V Sport, you know, whatever it is. If it has a V on it, you're welcome. And it doesn't matter what year it is, of course, you're welcome. STS Vs as well. And again, I'm gonna talk about it in a later video when I do make that video about it, but it's actually where you get together with a lot of Vs. I've been to car meets and you don't see a lot of Cadillacs in there, and it would be awesome to have a community where you just have CTS Vs and even some Cadillacs in that community. But anyways, that's in another video. Like I said, so I met this guy on Facebook. Pretty cool guy. He's coming out here with his V Sport. I'm gonna install some blow-off valves. Now, so here are the blow-off valves. They're from TURBOSMART. TS0203 1008 is your actual blow-off valve part number. So let's see what's inside of here. Gives you a little card with instructions. These are caps. I know these are basically to control the blow-off. I don't know if we're gonna need them on this one. Of course, you got a nice decal for TURBOSMART. Stick it on your car, increases horsepower. And then of course, here are the blow-off valves. Nicely packed in this box. Trying to get it out with one hand is not. There we go. Throw the box over here. And let's see what we got here. And there is your valves right there. So now the good thing with these valves here is this side, of course, is the exhaust side, intake side, and these are adjustable. So you can turn this and adjust it as needed of how much air pressure you want it to release. Of course, the car has a specific amount of air pressure it has to release. If it's too tight and it doesn't release enough pressure, you're gonna end up causing a stall in the car. The car won't run right probably. So you gotta get it right. I want to say about 50% is probably where you want to have it open to. And again, the more you close this can close all the way down, or could open all the way up to a certain extent, of course, before the spring pops out of there, and then you kind of try to put it all back together. This is your vacuum line here, connector, and it's a simple install. It's not very hard. So here's what you're gonna need for this install. We're gonna need, of course, the blow-off valves, some pliers or some tools to remove any type of clamps, possibly a screwdriver even, depending on what type of clamps you're putting on there. Some hose, and I got this radiator hose here, but I also forgot that I had, of course, actual hose from when I did the install for my intake. So I'm gonna use those hoses, which they fit right around this right here. You're only gonna need a little bit of a hose, just basically to put it between here and the actual charge pipe where it goes in. A 730 seconds hose. This is again just a vacuum hose again. This is gonna be for this part right here. And some other clamps, of course, some hose clamps. You want some of these just because you're gonna be needing new hose clamps, because not everything that's from the factory is gonna fit on there. So we're gonna wait for him to get here. In the meantime, I gotta go buy a shop light, because every time I do work in my garage, I have that light up there, this light, and sometimes of course the garage light right there. But I don't really have a dedicated shop light, and sometimes my videos I know come out a little bit dark. So I'm gonna go to Best Buy or Home Depot and pick up a shop light so I can get better light, especially for you guys and myself when I'm working on these cars. So I'll be back with that light, and he should be here by that time, ready to work. And of course I gotta pull out both the V-Sport and the wife's Pathfinder out of the garage into the rain. Thank God I didn't wash the cars last night. So anyways, let's go ahead and I'll see you guys in just a second. All right, so before we go in and install this and he gets here and anything like that, what is the point of doing a blow-off valve, and what do blow-off valve do? So what a blow-off valve does, pretty much in simple terms, it releases pressure from the intake system. So when you're hitting that gas on that car and that turbo spooling up and you're hearing all that air getting sucked in, you are open throttle, that air is going into the engine, of course, going to the intercooler, getting cooled down before it goes into the engine to produce, of course, that extra power you need. Well, when you release that throttle, that air has nowhere to go. It's built up pressure in there. So what a blow-off valve is, pretty much releases that pressure, and to only cause any issues or any damage to the turbo or any components of that, because all that pressure being held on. It's pretty much like saying you're sucking in all this air, taking a deep breath, and then somebody holds your mouth and you got nowhere to go. Well, you may pass out from it. So what it does is basically it's kind of like exhaling, and that's that noise you hear. And that blow-off valve, well, by installing an aftermarket blow-off valve, what that does is you can increase the pressure it releases or decrease it, of course, and it gives it a better noise, or a better sound, I should say. So I will try to get some shots here of the car. You know, it's raining outside and it's crappy, but before and after, so you guys can check a look and see how it sounds before and after. Now, I haven't done a blow-off valve on the V-Sport because I got the intake from ZZP on that thing, and that thing alone causes a lot more air to get sucked in and a lot more air that the blow-off valve has to release, so it sounds pretty good. But after doing this install on this V-Sport or on this ATS V, I'm gonna see how it actually sounds, and if it sounds really good, I might do it on the V-Sport. I don't know yet. But anyways, let's go ahead. I'm gonna wait for him to get here. I actually gotta go buy a shop light because every time I do these videos, it's always too dark and I can never get the right amount of light in the area I'm working for myself to see and for you guys when I'm recording these. So I'm gonna go to Home Depot real quick, come back with a new shop light. Hopefully it gives me enough light I can show you guys what I'm working on when I'm doing these videos, and he'll be here by that time. So I'll be back in a second. All right, so Jamie is finally here with his ATS V. I'm used to seeing CTS all the time. Thing is sick. Again, a little bit different engine, slightly different LF4 to an LF3, but pretty much all basic, all the same. Blow-off valve installation will be pretty much the same on this car as it will be on the ATS V Sport. This thing is nice. I've always liked the hood on this thing, the vented hood. I hope Savage Cadillac comes out with something like that for the cars already. I've been waiting for that. And this thing is lowered, you said, right?
Yeah, it's lowered with iBox springs.
So iBox springs, look at that. Look at that. I'm scared to do that because I got that magnet rod and I don't want to screw that up, but this thing looks sick the way it is, man.
And you know what? It doesn't even rub that much at all. Like when you hit a bump,
right,
you don't feel it at all. It's a nice ride. It's not uncomfortable.
And then you're waiting for some body, you gotta be doing some body box?
So I'm doing carbon fiber front lip, carbon fiber mirrors, and carbon fiber spoilers. So they should be arriving hopefully.
Nice. Alright, and Eddie from the Viddy GFX, just remember, this guy wants his car ceramic coated and also paint corrected. So I hit you up last night, hit me back on this so we can get a price for this guy. Get you another customer here, but all right, so let's go ahead and get this thing installed. Both blow-off valves are right here with all the parts I'm gonna need, and we'll get this thing going and see how it sounds before and after. All right, so on this one is a little bit different than the V-Sport. Of course, it has this thing right over the intercooler, which is pretty much, looks like it's like some kind of air intake or something that's right over that intercooler. I'm not sure if you guys know what it is, comment below. But there is a clamp right in there that is facing upwards, and I cannot get without having to remove this. So same thing on this side. When we put everything back together here, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that that screw for that clamp is facing this way so it's easier to get to. And then I just need to remove the bolts. There's one bolt here, here, and here, and then 4 on the back of this, and this should just come up. The engine's hot, so I'm gonna let it cool off a little bit. They're all 10mm bolts, and once you get those out, this should just lift up enough just to get to those screws in there, and then we get these blow-off valves out of there. Alright, so I got all these loosened up. I did not remove these completely out of it, left them in there. And this is as much space as you pretty much need. This is an Allen bolt in there, so all you need is to get an Allen wrench to loosen up that bolt right there. And other than that, we're gonna get a flathead screwdriver here, release this line right in here, and then this should come right out of there to put the first one in there. All right, so I got the old one removed. This is the original equipment one, of course, and this is the one we're gonna be installing on there. Now, one thing I did notice between both blow-off valves, one has a longer neck than the other one. This one here is gonna be your driver's side because it's gonna actually come out a little bit further than the stock ones just to give you enough room to work with. This one with the shorter neck is gonna be the passenger side. This is the clamp you gotta get out of here, which is in here up against the actual intercooler. But we might not be able to have to use any aftermarket hoses or clamps because it seems like with these blow-off valves and for this company, everything fits just like the OE valves. This is your OE valve, and that's the aftermarket one. And of course you can see exactly this one goes into the intercooler, same thing as that one's gonna go in, and this goes out to the actual hose. So we might not need to use any aftermarket clamps or anything like that. All right, correction. The one with the longer neck is for the passenger side because on this passenger side, we got this charge pipe right here. And if you put the shorter one with the shorter neck in there, this actual rubber hose will be hitting this charge pipe, which of course gets hot. So by putting the one with the longer neck in it, it makes this hose come out a little bit further so it won't hit this actual charge pipe. So just make sure that the one with the longer neck goes on the passenger side. All right, so we got the first one in here. The only thing that I used that was aftermarket was this small vacuum line right here. Tied it up with some zip ties, shouldn't come out because I didn't have any clamps that were big enough or small enough for this. Other than that, there's a factory clamp, factory hose, factory clamp in there as well. I did drop that bolt somewhere in there, so I had to use another bolt for there, but it did clamp down and it's tight in there. So that side is done. This side should be easier. There's more space to work on this side. So we got, of course, a screw there, flathead. Gonna do the same thing here with an Allen, and then remove that connector all the way in the back here. And then this one should come out, and the other one should go right back in there. So, give you guys an update once I'm done with this side. All right, so the passenger side, or the driver's side, comes out a lot easier, of course. And you can take the whole thing out, which you probably could have done the same thing on the passenger side, is pull the whole thing out with this connector because you don't need this connector here to basically remove the whole thing. So once you get both of the clamps loose, just pull the whole connector out, leave it connected to the actual factory blowout valve. You don't need that connector because all you're doing is putting a line afterwards and some zip ties to that. So this whole thing can just completely come out. You don't have to worry about trying to get this connector out of here. And with this little green tab on this one, on the CTS or the ATS V, it's different than the V Sport. They don't have these little green tabs, and on the V Sport you can just push down on them and pull them out. This one has these little pain in the butt green tabs that were giving me an issue. So again, once you get the two clamps out on the driver's side, pull everything out, the whole thing comes out, unhook the connector there, and you're good to go. And now we got to install the other one back on. Alright, so blow-off valves installed, 2016 ATS V, I gotta get used to saying that. And of course, sounds awesome. I love the way it sounds. Actually, that might make me get some for the V Sport, honestly. Even though I have the intake on my car, I think with the blow-up valves and the intake, it's gonna sound even better. So again, his car is awesome. I love his car. Maybe he wants to change. We'll keep the same payments though, just change cars. But this thing is beautiful. I've always liked the ATS, especially the V. And it just feels quicker than mine too when I drive this thing. He gave me a little chance to drive it and just feels a little bit quicker. It is a little bit lighter than my car. I just love the way it drives. Anyways, let's go back to the garage. I'm gonna finish up the video over there. See you guys there in a second. All right, so Jamie's gone with his ATS V. Very nice car. Again, just the body style of these cars I love. I've always loved Cadillac, and these body styles, the way these look, this sporty sedan look is amazing. His car is awesome. Sounds awesome with the blow-up valves, which I might end up getting blow-up valves now for my car. Install's pretty straightforward. Just gotta get enough room to get those bolts or those actual screws that are in there and up against the charge pipe. It's the only issue that I was having. Passenger side was a little bit more difficult than the driver's side was, because the driver's side's got a lot more room to work with. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and hit in the comments below. I know I didn't go into full detail and I didn't, you know, pinpoint and zoom in and stuff. I was trying to get the car done for Jamie and wanted to get him going as well. And I got my family here, so I wanted to get the job done. Normally I would go into more details. Again, it's just a straightforward install. Once you get the old blow-off valves out, you exactly know what you're putting back together, and there's not many tools required. At the beginning, I showed you guys what it needed. You do need an Allen wrench to get the top screws out of there for that actual clamp inside of the charge pipe where the blow-up valve and the charge pipe meet. A flathead screwdriver to get the other clamp off. And that's it. Just some wire cutters or some cutters just to cut up the small line. And then I zip tied the 2 vacuum lines because none of the clamps I had were small enough for those vacuum lines. So again, not a big install. I used most of the original parts. Didn't have to use any aftermarket hoses, at least on this car I didn't. I'm not sure about that if I do it on the ATS V Sport, but when I do it on my car, I will go more into detail of how to do it on this one. But again, they're pretty much the same. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I think I gotta be careful with these.
Yeah.
And when we come around the turn here, this is a turn right here, so be careful. I gotta do it. That's it. Release. Yeah, because at these things. We'll do 2 more pulls in.